Namaste everyone and welcome to AakashVani, where I go searching for the most amazing stories from the most inspiring people. Fashion is something I find really interesting. The color, the threads, the fabric, the creativity. But I never really thought about the person behind the clothes. The one who sat with a blank page and imagined everything from scratch. My guest today is exactly that person. A creator, a dreamer, and one of the most respected names in Indian fashion today. He grew up in Delhi and went on to study at not only one but two fashion designing schools, NIFT in New Delhi and NID in Ahmedabad. He launched his own label, Anand Bhushan, and since then he has been a regular presence in the runways of India Fashion Week seasons after seasons. Over the years, his creations have been worn and admired by celebrities such as Sonam Kapoor, Karisma Kapoor, Ayushmann Khurrana, Manoj Bajpayee, and many other well-known personalities from the fashion world and film. Today, we will learn about his journey from a young student with big dreams to becoming one of India's most respected fashion designers. Joining us today on Vani is one of the most celebrated fashion designers, Anand Bhushan.
Thank you, Vani, for having me today.
Thank you for being on AakashVani.
Any day.
I've been really looking forward for this conversation.
It's my honor to be here today.
Thank you. So let's start the conversation.
Absolutely.
So, जब आप मेरी एज के थे, 11 years old, did you already love fashion and designing? What were you like as a child?
So I always loved fashion, but more than fashion, I was a very creative child. I used to love sketching. I was into dramatics. I was into debating. I loved the idea of theater. And clothes was obviously one of the most important aspects of what I used to really enjoy. So growing up, I never wanted to be anything else but design clothes or get into something creative for sure.
Interesting. Was there a moment in your life when you thought, I want to become a fashion designer? What exactly happened?
As I said, this is something which I always wanted to do. I wanted to pursue something in the creative field. I had no one in my family that was in the creative field. Everyone was a lawyer in my thing. I belonged to, I was the fourth generation lawyer in my family. So my brother is a lawyer also. My father, mother, everyone was into this profession.
Must be hard choice.
Yes. So that's why everybody said, you know what, it's going to be much easier for you just to become a lawyer. Since I debated well, so my parents thought that would be an obvious choice. But somewhere deep down, I always wanted to do something very creative. So I said, why don't I just try out, this design? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But at least let's give it a shot.
Yeah, let's try. Okay. If fashion designing had not been your career, what would you do? What would you do right now instead of lawyer?
I told, as I said, I would definitely be in a creative profession. Either it would be in films or entertainment, it would be in advertising, it would be in interior design, it could be anything. I really don't know. In fact, I want to do all of them right now also for that matter.
आपने नेफ्ट में भी स्टडी करा in NID, two of India's most prestigious design schools. What was the student life like there? So, what are the takeaways? And would you?
It was probably my favorite moment in life. That's why I always say that I think everybody who's gone to college, it's the first time after school, you taste freedom for the first time. You can do whatever you want. And I really bloomed as a person. My personality bloomed. My interests bloomed. And this is where I realized that this is what I was meant to do. And I was a good student for sure.
So, did you like NID better or NIFT?
Well, they are totally two different spaces. NIFT is more generic in terms of fashion. They teach you how to make an outfit. But NID was a place where you learn about design in totality, where it's just not about clothes. It has got to do with textiles, how you present it, There are other facets of fashion and apparel and textiles that you learn that I wanted to do. That's why I did my postgrad in NID.
Okay. Most people study in one college. You did two. Why? And how did one change you as a designer?
So that's why I said it's earlier when I went to NIFT, it gave me a broad perspective of what exactly fashion was. Now, I belong to a family where fashion wasn't really encouraged at one point of time, and nobody really knew about what clothes were. I mean, we just went to the market, bought something generic, and we wore it. But the idea of to introduce me to the world of fashion, that's where NIFT Delhi came into play. And I enjoyed that too much. I made some really close friends who are still my really close friends. And we spoke about design, we spoke about fashion, we spoke about everything possible. So once I graduated from NIFT, I basically had this another urge to do something in terms of a postgrad where I wanted to specialize in something which is there. And I specialized in apparel, textiles, and merchandising. And it gave me opened up design world to me in a newer way in Ahmedabad. And this was the first time I was staying alone on my own because I had moved to Ahmedabad and I knew no one in Ahmedabad. So that was a good experience too.
Every season at India Fashion Week, you come back with a completely different style. Tribal, travel, nature, or something else. How do you find your inspirations?
Inspiration is everywhere. It's just a matter of coaxing it out and taking it where you want to take it. I've been inspired by tribal, whereas you saw I called a collection tribe. I was inspired by something as weird space as a junkyard or a swarm, and I made all my designs and design language for that collection inspired by that. So it's not really where my biggest, which is one of my favorite collections, which I did, was dedicated to my dog when I sort of lost him. And I was so in grief at that point of time. Then I said, why don't we, give it an ode to him for a collection? So that's why I'm saying it can be anything and everything which can inspire you.
Nice. So I want to say that, like, I sorry for your dog loss, but I want to say that how are you able to relate to like different, completely different things? That how are you able to get that grief? It like how are you able to transfer into a dress, a fashion that people admire? So how are you able to get?
So every label, when we start, every designer has a signature. It can be in terms of how an outfit looks like. Everyone has a signature style. I work with unconventional materials in terms of textures. As you can see, we've done a lot of things with leather. Not many designers do this, but they, make it into a very ladylike look or something like that. And so your desire, so getting inspired by that and then translating that emotion into your signature style, that is what a designer truly does.
So if an 11-year-old girl says, "I want to become a fashion designer," what would you say to her?
I say go ahead and just pursue your dream. But more than that, I say keep your eyes open because when you're 11 years old, there is so much to see. When I was young, I used to go to museums, I used to go to theater, I used to go for dance recitals, I used to just go to old vintage shops, let's say in Chandni Chowk for that matter. And I was absolutely taken aback by the color, the sound, the smell. Everything is very important for you to see. If you're, yes. And if you're absorbing all your information from Instagram, then that's not the way to go about it. You really need to go out and put yourself out there physically and not digitally. Stay away from digital as much as you can. But I experience everything physically in this world there.
Okay. Your creations have been worn by so many celebrities. How does it feel, someone so famous wearing your creation?
It feels special, but you know what? I treat my every person who wears my outfit is a very special person to me. It does not matter if it's just a regular person who's come and bought an outfit from me or a celebrity has bought from me. I treat them equally. And I get very excited when I see anyone wear my creations. And that is what's so special about it. They are really my babies, all these clothes.
Can you explain what makes your style unique? So you talked about texture. So how can you explain it in really simple words that I can understand?
So when I say I do a lot of embroideries. Now there are a lot of machine embroidery that you do. There's a hand embroidery which India is known for, and there's no other country in the world that does that much of exquisite handwork which our country does. And it's for our generation to sort of learn that technique, so it moves from one generation to the other. And so taking that, you can give it your own spin. And that is what designers today are doing, where you take a traditional craft that happens in India and you put a modern spin on it. And every generation will change and have its own design language.
A very beautiful thing to express. Is there a particular collection or outfit that you're most proud of or very proud of?
Every collection is my baby. I cannot pinpoint one collection which is there. Every piece of clothing that I make with a lot of love. And it's just not me. My whole team puts in so much effort to make something which is there. So I can't put one collection. That would be unfair to everyone.
So has artificial intelligence helped you in any way?
Yes. In fact, it's been one of the greatest things that has happened to the fashion industry. Though there's a lot of hue and cry that it's going to take away jobs and everything. But no, I think it's going to make it it's extremely positive, where we get to see, imagine an outfit, what it can be within seconds. What we used to take almost days to sort of visualize and everything. Now we can come up with that idea in exactly like 2 seconds. And then we have more, information that we can use to create something more. So I think that's something very special. I'm a very pro AI person. And slowly and slowly, we're also going to start developing systems in our company, which is going to be very AI driven also.
Yeah.
So I think we don't need to feel scared of AI. This is how civilizations move ahead. At one point of time, you were not born, but at our time when the millennium was going to hit, everybody thought all the computers are going to crash. It was called the Y2K in 2000. And everybody thought that this world is going to end. Nothing happened. We survived and we managed to do really well.
Yeah, so interesting. Like many people, AI is really helpful, but it's also really important that you're able to utilize the AI. And as you said, you're pro at AI, so that's a very good
Yes,
plus
I think
point.
everybody needs to learn it.
Yeah. So is fashion designing something that anyone can learn, or is something that you have to be born with? जैसे लोग कहते हैं ना that I don't have fashion sense or I do have fashion sense.
No, not really. I think it's about training your eye. As I said, when I started off, I really didn't know anything about fashion. I didn't even know where to buy a fabric or what is fabric, to be honest, in terms of, I did not know what is the difference between silk or cotton at one point of time. So I think it's slowly and slowly training your eye. This is what colleges do, and this is what training does. It basically improves your skill level, and that is very important when you're starting off. You need to expose yourself to as many things as you can. You need to do summer internships. You need to be where clothes are being made. You have to really see what is happening around you when you want to start off. So that is very important. So I think everybody can do it. It depends on how much of yourself you want to give yourself into.
Okay.
Obviously, there is a difference between a creative and a non-creative person, where if you get excited about something creative, that you become a creative person. But if something has mundane and something more dexterous, like you want to work with, then you go into that field.
Yeah, okay. I'll keep that in mind. If fashion designing could solve one problem in the world, what problem would it be?
Solve a problem. Fashion could solve a problem. I think it is already solving the biggest problem where it comes to, expressing a personality. There are a lot of people in this world who really don't know how to sort of communicate what they are trying to think, and they use fashion as a medium to do it. It can be, and fashion is just not about clothes. There is so many aspects to it. There's fashion photography, there's fashion advertising, there's fashion PR, communication, and people use all these things to, express their idea. And that is what I think is very special about this field.
Okay. So my last question. Any incident that you will remember for life, good or bad?
I think the most important thing which I've learned in these years of in this profession is it's really about making relationships with people, because in terms of it could be your design team, it could be friends that you've studied with, it's who you have worked with, and it's a culmination of all these people that basically help you realize it can be an outfit, it can be a show, it can be anything. And I think that is something which is very special to me. My personal relationships with each and every person, may it be at office or personal.
But really insightful. But is there a particular incident that you would remember, like a situation?
I'll give you one of my fondest things. I was in college at that point of time, and I said I really wanted to launch my own label. And I said, how am I going to ever do that? I have nothing. I don't even have a stitching machine in my thing. And I was in college and I got a call from that Lakme Fashion Week at that point of time. And they said there's a sort of a show called the Gen Next show. And it basically just called in 10 fresh talents to showcase their collections. And I jumped onto that opportunity. And I remember my first show at Fashion Week, where it was the Gen X show. And it was the highest of the highs I've ever experienced, because it was so special, where my label Anand Bhushan was born. So that's something very, very special to my heart.
So a turning point.
Yes.
Just the right time. I had the great time with you on my podcast. I learned a lot.
It was my pleasure to be talking to you today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vani.